Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Pinball Arcade. So, last time we played Last Action Hero, um, I didn't fully love Judge Dredd, but it was decent. I definitely didn't like Gladiators. I didn't like Bram Stoker's Dracula. I loved Getaway High Speed 2. I didn't like Fishtails. And I really didn't like Doctor Who. So, Pistol Poker is the last chance on this row of 8 tables to try to get at least two or three tables that are really decent. That being said, right after that we have Star Trek The Next Generation, so let's just hop into Pistol Poker. This looks like, for a 1993 Gottlob table, this looks like another table that is definitely more focused
Do
around
I
a
have to shoot you?
1970s wooden style table throwback. Pistol Poker was the last production table made by Alvin G. and Company. This two-level table was designed by Wally Welch and Michael Gottlieb to be a fun, fast game. The vibrant table art drawn by Dan Hughes. I don't recognize any of these names other than Michael Gottlieb. Echoes the country western theme and music. Players are invited to play poker and blackjack as they progress to Pistol Mania. Play the 2 or 3 ball Mega Mode multi-ball and earn chips to score big. Then shoot the coins on the back glass to see high scores. Hey partner, there's a new player in town. You don't know his name, but you'll know his game. Only 200 units of this table were produced. Wow, what a throwback. So it seems like Alvin G and Company, which either got acquired by Gottlob after the fact or was a spin-off company from Gottlob and then got reacquired later, didn't really go very far, um, which is probably the case for several pinball companies. But I would say there must have been something at least in Alvin G and Co. Um, lineup that made it worthwhile for it to be acquired. Although maybe not. Maybe it was just straight up cronyism. Maybe Alvin G, being a Gottlob himself, convinced his relative, his family, to acquire his company out of bankruptcy so the tables don't disappear forever. Um, Even now, though, you can see it looks like it's still the standard Williams flippers. Williams must have made all the flippers for almost every company. So we're going with a country western, and they're selling a little bit on sex here with a large amount of cleavage, uh, blonde lady, and her belly showing, and then you've got a um, stubbled cowboy in a white hat shoot with a smoking gun. Then there's all kinds of cards, and I wonder what these are supposed to be. Is this supposed to be a Native American blanket? Yeah, I guess it is. They're playing poker on the blanket. I guess that might be so that they could steal all the coins or run if the cops showed up, if the sheriff showed up. I guess this is set in the past. You have Spot the Spell. There's a roll here of 10, Jack, Queen, King, Ace of standing targets with a snake on it, which seems a little extreme. And then you have a cow skull for hearts. So this side is the face cards on hearts. This side is the face cards on diamonds. Up here we've got face cards on spades, and they are, some of them are standing targets, but one of them is a center shot. And then there is something up here that must loop the ball somewhere, but I have no idea where. And then there's something down there that I have no idea what that is, whether that's a scoop. I can see a center target under the table, but then I have no clue what the rest of this does. I would assume it's probably going to loop back in a tight horseshoe with the other red arrow, but maybe not. To get up to the upper playfield, you hit this, and then it loops around, and then it drops into this upper play field with a flipper. There is a launcher down here that also gets it to the upper play field. So that center shot is going to shoot this gun just in front of it, which that's an interesting gimmick. It kind of highlights where a 1993 table with more of a budget would have put a actual plastic gun there and had the ball shoot out of a gun instead of just putting a cardboard cutout in front of it. Here we've got another guy, and then you've got some wanted signs of some other people. This is very cowboyish. Here we've got a collection of cowboy characters. They all look a little pale to be cowboys, even for white guys. A little blonde, a little too many blondes, and a little too pale, and a little too clean. They honestly feel like they are closer to people who would pretend to be cowboys in the 90s, not real cowboys in the 70s. And I think that is probably true because some of these outfits also just don't really feel like they're in line with actual Western times. This guy has several cards in his boot. This guy has several cards in his boot. The upper spades are here, and then there's a joker that is a donkey with a gold tooth. I don't get the gold tooth element there. That kind of feels like you're maybe doing something a little bit racist. But I don't know if that's really what that's meant by it. There's a guy here called El Gusano, and that character only has a wanted sign. There's a burlesque picture with what looks like the same blonde lady lying shirtless on the table, so it's definitely trying to sell on sex. 4-lane, top lane, spelling what? Well, it's just the letter P twice. It's so not really spelling anything. And then the gun's shooting down this way, which if you hit this ramp and you get all the way around here, yeah, that is going to fall fairly fast, but then it's going to hit this curve and then drain out to the in lane. Although it drains at the curve here, so you're going to have a little bit less time. Center peg. Doesn't look like a kickback exists. Do we have a ball saver? Maybe a little bit. Regular plunger launcher. This does have an LCD screen. And then we have what looks like just cards with lights behind them. I don't think the backboard does anything else. There's a lock at the top here. I think that's probably pretty common in a lot of poker back glasses, though, that you can take them down to clean them or change the light bulbs. There's a scoop on this table. And so I guess you're probably trying to shoot this ball towards the scoop, towards the joker, and towards some of these other things. The idea of having 2 standing targets, then a lane in the middle, then another standing target is a little extreme. And it seems like if you do hit the ace in the center, that hits a scoop that then possibly bounces the ball back up into the in lane. I really don't see why you wouldn't have merged this into that or that into this so that they both would drain at the same place. There's basically no in lane to the right and a decent enough shots on the right for that to make sense. So there probably should be a gate right about here that would flip one way or the other and put something on the right flipper. And so we may have to get really innovative with the shots. You have only 2 bumpers. It would have been real easy to put in another bumper in the right place and move the art around. It seems like they were more interested in the art than having bumpers that make sense. This is probably one of the most empty tables we've ever seen, because you have to remember that there's the entire top half here that's basically got no art in it and barely has anything as far as lanes or targets to hit. And this is a massive upper playfield. Alright, well, let's look at the flyer. And it would be fairly silly to think there's nothing particularly interesting on the flyer, although noticeably the flyer does not show any of the characters really that exist in the actual art as this main side. On the back you see the back glass. It would be kind of silly to think that this table, had it been a little bit more popular, or had they made more, would have probably saved Alvin G. I imagine they just had not enough successes. I imagine if you were going to start a pinball table in 1993, much like in 2021, you would have to get a massive success right off the bat, and probably 2 or 3 successes, so you could just have enough money saved up for one mediocre table. We're trying for a skill shot, 2-pair hand, complete the back glass card column, play blackjack, and start mega mode. I don't know how to do either one of those, so that'll be interesting. Let's warm up. Okay.
Pair of kings. Collect hand. Nice shot.
So, the audio sounds good. What am I trying to do? So you use a flipper to select a row.
Aim, fire.
And yeah, you pretty much can't play this with half of these angles because you've got to see that very high flipper. Now with this yellow theme, this already is hurting my eyes. Like, the color palette is wonky. There's a lot on the table. Like, there's basically nothing physically actually to hit, but there's so much art on the table that it's distracting. Right. So that was the skill shot. And there is a loop. Even in '93, there must have been more of an audience, or at least pinball developers thought there was more of an audience as far as Western themes and Western bars, I assume. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a bar association that existed, or an arcade association that was heavily influenced by Western bars.
Bushwhacker.
I didn't know it could sink down that way. Interesting.
Fetch me another match.
Because it really doesn't make sense to me. Even like I was alive in 1993. I was young, sure, but I don't feel like Western wasn't that popular. Not enough that you would have entire tables around that theme. Take note, there's no pop music, there's no rock music tables really. We see some of those later. That 93 would have been like Madonna and MTV era pop music.
Pair of queens. Collect hand.
So I don't really get it. Like with the exception of like Achy Breaky Heart and maybe 1 or 2 other very noticeable, very high success country songs. Country was always, to my knowledge, from what I was saying,
ready, aim, fire.
Just try to get a bunch of kings. Blackjack, right? Alright. And then back glass 2-card combo. So, trying to be as impartial as possible, I am gonna probably have to complain about the audio on this table, because the banjo music, the country banjo music, is going to loop constantly, and I haven't gotten annoyed by it yet, but I can definitely sense that that could happen. Why is everything blinking? Well,
Sidewinder.
You always have to be careful when a game insults you, like being called a sidewinder and a bushwhacker. I don't know the origin of those insults, but almost every insult is from a place of hate, and so you have to be really difficult, particularly in 2021, and hyper awareness around word policing and stuff like that. And hypersensitivities amongst many people. So yeah, I wouldn't know if sidewinder is a slur for a race or a sexual orientation, or if it's just nothing. It's so ridiculous that the ball drains in the center like that. It didn't even look like that was the case. I need to look at the table again to understand where the ball is even going.
Pair of jacks. Collect hand.
I feel like a table like this should have a pair of aces and eights, which is known as the dead man's hand. I think it was like Doc Holliday, or somebody had that and was shot cheating. Alright, hearts.
Ready, aim, fire.
Okay. Start mega mode since we already did the other one. Mega mode is just a 2-ball multi-ball. So this was an incredibly easy collection of standard goals. And that makes a lot of sense because this feels like a half-finished table, so I feel like half the features are missing. What I'd want to see here is if there is a larger video mode. There is definitely a disconnect here around the idea of having back glass light up cards and an LCD screen. If anything, the LCD screens should quickly have proven that you don't need the gimmicks of the back glass, regardless of whether that's better looking visually or not.
Fetch me another match. Now get.
So let's see what the wizard goals are. Complete the back glass cards. Wow, that sounds crazy. Start Pistol Mania, earn a special, score Super Jackpot, and collect a 99,900,000 bonus. Yeah, I feel like I'm probably in a case where I'm going to lose interest in the table way before that happens. Alright, so there's an opening on this side that drops the ball down, and the ball just has slingshots and things around it to pretty much make sure it falls back downward. There's also an opening on this side where the ball falls down, so they really did a terrible job putting this cardboard in front of it because it's hiding where the ball is going. There's a ramp back this way that loops the ball around in here, and so you're supposed to do multiple loops here. I think there's also an intentional gap here so that you could potentially get the ball to sink here and roll back to the right flipper. but I think you aren't going to pull that off very often at all. This table definitely feels a little bit inspired by Black Knight 2000 and Black Knight. So the way this seems to play, Joker is the mystery reward. We know what, okay, that makes sense. Makes all the sense in the world.
Get out of town by sundown.
Yep, that ball drained really fast. So after you get one blinking light anywhere, you then seem to be locked into shots of the same kind of card. So I hit a queen, and now I am locked into getting the queens in every other location. Riding a horse all the way around. How many times can I hit that loop? And how many times would I need to hit the loop? The characters don't feel like characters. Like, I think you would probably want 5 wanted bad guys, real bad dudes from the so that flings the ball up really high, and then your mission would be to play as the sheriff to take them out, or play them in shootouts at high noon to take them out. And I'm not sure that there even is a shootout mode.
Ready, aim, fire.
Alright. Super shootout? Let's do a shootout. Alright, so there is a shootout. And it's basically hit everything in a hurry out mode, which it feels like the exact opposite of what a shootout would be, with revolvers and only 6 shots. But pinball wise, that kind of makes sense.
Now get.
So I guess the girl's name is Miss Sally. She doesn't seem to have any role. They can't endorse smoking. They can't endorse drinking, which is why the guy has a toothpick in his
aim, fire.
in his mouth instead of a cigarette. They really can't endorse sex, so Miss Sally could sing a song, and then you could have had her as a voice character instead of her just being a bit of arm candy on the playfield. But I would definitely trade the idea of Miss Sally for
ready, aim, fire.
I would trade that for 3 or 4 bad guys that were different modes and different ways you had to defeat them or beat them at cards at the very least. If this is just going to focus on the card game, it's not even that focused on the card game. The idea that there's 3 different ways you can potentially get this ball up.
Ready, aim, fire.
Oops, I was a little too early on that one. You have to be careful about making a pinball table that is based on a different game. Like, That might very well explain why there is not a like Street Fighter themed pinball table that I've ever heard of. That ball I think just once again just glitched physically through the wall. I'm seeing more and more of that happening even though I'm exiting the program each time. Which makes me wonder if this isn't a case of the game. If this isn't a case like Skyrim where save files are getting corrupted with more and more data. I still have 193 achievements from Steam, if I care about that, which is a big if. But I did go and look at some of the percentages that as far as Steam players getting some of the achievements, and there is a significant number of achievements that where only 1.2% of all Steam players have collected them, which seems almost like a bare minimum number that Steam might give instead of an actual number. But I imagine there are some achievements out there where 0% of players have gotten them. So, yeah, I don't have a lot of hopes, having gotten 92 achievements done so far, that I'm going to magically be able to triple that with so many games that are just painful to play and not that good. This is a fairly low scoring table also. At 32 million, I thought I was doing pretty good there. It seems to me like you're better off on this table going for four aces instead of a royal flush. But this is really slow to get cards.
Ready, aim, fire.
Like, it really does seem really slow to get these cards, and it feels like more you would have a different mode, and a different mode would give you each card for a royal flush, and the focus would be to just get 5 modes done, not potentially, oh man, it's like 20, isn't it? 20 different times if you're gonna fill the whole board up.
Keep your hands on the table.
I feel like getting those board cards also are gonna require slightly different timings for different settings, for different cards.
Get out of town by sundown.
Yeah. The angles aren't particularly great on this table, which comes as really no surprise.
Fetch me another match. Now get.
It's kind of weird that they depict basically 2 poker tables. On the table.
Ready, aim, fire. Joker. Super shot. Ready, aim, fire. 4 kings.
Okay, so there's 4 kings, and that's a super drop, so I suppose if you got super drop multiple times, you might succeed. And I did something there to get a pair of aces. What you really would need would be a bonus hold. And I'm not sure you're really going to get that. There are definitely some wonky angles as far as being able to shoot the ball up and then it fall right back down, being able to bounce a ball in totally wrong place.
Sidewinder.
Ideally, if you're going to have rollovers on the out lanes and in lanes, that it would be nice if that would potentially be a way that you could get an extra ball as a last minute save. But I've never seen a pinball table actually do that. At best, I've seen them give out lane special bonuses.
Nice shot.
This ball loops around a little too much.
Bushwhacker.
You could easily have a captive ball somewhere here, and that could be the jail. You could easily have a toy horse,
Miss Sally.
or
fetch me
a
another
shot
match.
that represents stealing a horse or riding a horse.
Now get. Howdy, partner.
You could go a little cliche and have Miss Sally kidnapped, or Miss Sally tied to the train.
Ready, aim, fire.
Yeah, having a scoop that literally
Get out of
scoops
town by
the
sundown.
ball downward is terrible. Didn't realize that's where the scoop sent it, but yeah, that is. Yeah, having her kidnapped or tied to a train tracks or anything like that.
Keep your hands on the table.
There's one instance of the ball saver actually helping me, although there have been many times where the ball saver feels like it should have activated. Like how the ramp on the right being one of the many places where it should start like a 2-second ball saver.
Bushwhacker.
I'd like it, frankly, if every table, as soon as it scored anything, flashed the ball saver for a second or two. That way, you just can't get that awkward drain out. And I'm coming to realize quickly that it's not actually worth it to try and have the ball go all the way around on that top loop. You actually want it to go about halfway. So you want to do
Get out of town by sundown.
a kind of limp-wristed, weak shot under the right, up the right ramp to get it into that upper play field.
Another match.
I really don't see a reason why the upper playfield exists at all.
Howdy, partner.
It would make so much more sense to flatten this. And that's what I would have done. Is like, let's flatten it. Let's get rid of the scoop. Let's get rid of the gun. Let's add some other elements. We can put the gun in the other elements later.
Ready, aim, fire.
Both flippers move it down on the selection. See, that just visually glitched again with the physics messed up. See, if you start seeing a game literally being emulated wrong, as we have seen in Pinball Arcade, that just opens the door for me to blame every single bad shot on the emulation. Like, I can easily just be egomaniacal and say, oh, actually I'm a perfect player. All my shots are perfect. It's just that the emulation is wrong. It's the game that's wrong. And there's plenty of other video games that have that problem, whether they're emulating something or not. But usually they do a good enough job to hide it so that there's at least, it's not so obvious. And yeah, seeing so many glitches and seeing consistent glitches does make an argument around the idea of
Ready, aim, fire.
It does make an argument for playing this table at a lower resolution.
Joker poker.
So am I aiming to hit the Joker? Or am I just hitting things?
Two pair. Left hand.
To me, it seems like you get a different pair of cards. It's like you're playing two games of poker at the same time. With the flashing lights here. This is also a table where it feels like you're gonna wanna have to nudge a lot more than you normally would. The pop-up bumpers are playing no good role at all in the gameplay. They've never once so far done anything interesting. There's a lot of things not flashing on the table right now, which sucks.
Now get.
Yeah. So let's look at the wizard goals a little bit more close. Shoot the ace of clubs saucer when the fire is lit. To relight fire, shoot the ace of clubs saucer one time. When another 5 cards have been collected, the ace of clubs saucer must be shot twice to relight the fire. Blah, 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 blah. Hit either flipper to toggle the arrow down. After a few seconds, it'll say ready, aim, fire, so you have to wait. Compared to the shootout in the action movie table, I will say this is a slightly more interesting shootout, but I think the gimmick in the action movie table is kind of better. It happens too often. Actually, yeah, it is basically the same concept. We get the spot lined up, that also gets us a letter. So your whole goal is to line up all the cards. Pistol Mania, completing all 7 card hands and collecting all chips lights the Joker scoop to start Pistol Mania. Pistol Mania is a 3-ball frenzy mode. Okay, we'll probably never do that. There are 2 ways to light the Ace of Spades lane to earn the special on Pistol Poker. Special can be lit by completing all 20 cards. Okay. Special can also be lit by starting Pistol Mania. So pretty much you have to do one or the other to get the special. Super Jackpot is then accomplished by doing what? So 2-ball multi-ball can be turned into 3-ball multi-ball by shooting the Joker scoop. That shot is incredibly difficult, it feels like. You shooting the Joker scoop and the Ace of Clubs saucer before the shot is again. All Mega Mode values are doubled when 3 balls are in play. During Mega Mode, 1 card in each suit will be flashing. Then the mode starts with 10 seconds flashing. Complete all 5 cards in 1 suit to score the suit's jackpot. Worth it. Complete the add bonus shot here to add 5 million to the spades in the spot. Blah, 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 blah. Just so much. Basically just shoot the ball everywhere in multi-ball, like every other pinball table. Well, how do you get to Super Jackpot, though? I went through all of that, and it went to Joker Awards without mentioning. Shoot this Joker scoop to score a Super Jackpot and relight the suits. So you have to get all the suits to get a Super Jackpot. And then to get the bonus, of 999,000. Or 99,900,000. You basically just have to have the best game ever. And you have to get the multiplier up to 10 times, I'm sure. So just play a really good game doing the main goals of the table, and you would get all the wizard goals if you can pull that off. And that is the if.
Ready, aim, fire.
That was abrupt, to say the least, when it took control away from the flippers. I couldn't use the flippers anymore to actually flip the flippers, and I was like, what's going on? Because it felt like the game had just crashed. Which Pinball Arcade hasn't directly crashed so far. It's just locked up in a couple different modes. Yeah, I'm pretty much done with this table though. Like 41 minutes in. It's no surprise only 200 of these units were made. It's clearly those were 200 test units, which that seems like a really high number of test units, but it very well may not be. I wouldn't be surprised if some pinball companies made test units, had them played for 6 months to a year in real arcades, and then had people watching people playing, or had people fill out surveys to try and improve it.
Sidewinder.
Now, as a curation, I can see why you would want to emulate a game that a lot of people had heard about but not really played, even if it wasn't particularly that good of a quality table. So yeah, I can see an argument for this existing. Yeah, almost certainly there's nothing here. Let's see. Seems like you could set everything to easy, but I don't know if that's gonna really change too much. Ball back features might be slightly useful. This might be a table that's actually fairly easy to control the ball on, though, because look, if I manage to just control the ball and get it into the joker.
Ready, aim, fire.
So start with that. And see, as long as we try and keep the ball in play, it might very well be well.
Pair of hands. Collect hand.
And so, at this point, that's the pair of tens. And can I hit anything else? No. But I can always draw the ball down this route. And then what do we want to see? Like the extra ball.
Extra ball.
And that was the extra ball.
Ready, aim, fire.
We're just trying to get as much going on as possible.
Two pair. Collect hand.
So I suppose you work your way through these drop targets. Then you go up this area, and if I can get enough momentum, I thought that's where I collected the hand the first time, but it may be you have to actually go somewhere else. Yeah, it seems like you may have to actually go somewhere else.
Nice shot.
That collects the hand. Then we go up here.
Ready, aim, fire. 4 aces.
So there's your 4 aces, 20 million. Mega mode. And see, in mega mode, you're really not going to be able to pull anything off, so we might as well just try to keep the ball in play as much as possible. Yeah, they want me to shoot the balls up.
Jackpot.
And then they want me to hit all of these for a jackpot. Interesting. I'm trying to control
Jackpot.
2 balls.
Jackpot.
Right, and so then they want me to hit. Let's see if we can get both balls up to the top play field. Nope, as soon as I got one there, I lost the other. Right.
Nice shot.
Even cheating here,
Nice
much
shot.
like every other table, it's just
Nice shot.
really difficult to control the ball.
Joker.
And so you've got this playfield section where, yeah, I think if I hit the joker, that starts the 3-ball multi-ball. Right. So the trick here, still, as we're trying it, is to get the blinking lights hit in order in that top field. That's just really not gonna happen.
Joker.
And hitting the joker extra times
Nice shot.
really doesn't pull it off. No skipping the ace in the middle.
Very eligible.
I'm surprised I've been able to keep the 3 balls in play this long. This is killing my thumb though. Yeah, I'm literally cramping up my thumb trying this.
Nice.
It's interesting. It shows like a shadow under the table of the ball. I wonder if that's how it actually played, or if that is something there. So that's the jackpot. And then the super jackpot is getting into the joker. Into the joker. And at that point that resets everything, so let's just call that a game. And let's see, what do we need to do
3 hands. Collect hand.
to get 3 of a kind?
Nice shot.
Loop around. And then we need to do this.
Ready, aim, fire.
And we're going for jacks now.
Super shot. Ready, aim, fire. 4 kings.
And there's 4 kings for 20 million.
Straight. Collect hand.
And to collect the hand, I need to get up the ramp, which that shot can really only be lined up, and that's about all that can be done with it. And see, if I want the big bonus, I need to move the ball up the drain lanes multiple times. And these are super tight lanes, so that's not easily done. I don't fully get the crow's con. I guess that feels a little bit cowboyish. There's the hand being collected.
Ready, aim, fire.
We could get 2 more super jackpots.
Blackjack ramp.
That would be great. What are we trying to hit now? Score times 6. Score times 8. Yeah, it's just like everything is flashing at this point, and it just wants me to, I think, hit the blackjack ramp, which is what I just lit, so that would make a lot of sense.
Nice shot. Full house. Collect hand.
Alright, so there's a full house. You'd really have to do really well. Like insanely well to get all of those drop targets. These are not well placed for that trick.
Max bonus.
Alright, so max bonus at that level, does that mean if I get the bonus multiplier up to 10 times, which I believe is the highest multiplier? Can we get the Joker? Still need really super drop a couple of times more. Alright. Let's spell this one more time. Yep, 5 million at that point. So you can't, over the 10 million, the 10 times multiplier, it changes just to a 5 million reward. Let's just let this drain. And then we'll get over here and hit this and hit
4
this.
queens. Collect hand.
4 of a kind
Do I
beats.
have to shoot you?
So like 4 of a kind without playing with a Joker and getting 5 of a kind. Interesting. So what are we trying to hit here? That's an ace. That's an ace. So you're just hitting the aces.
Royal flush.
And the
Collect
royal
hand.
flush was literally just hitting all the cards on one side. So you could have taken your pick of any target, which really goes to say that if you had done the upper playfield area and hit that, then you would have probably lost miserably. Alright, come on. Gotta line up the shot. Get up there. Not far enough. I probably have to loop all the way around. Come on. And see, my assistance in cheating, not gonna really help.
Nice shot.
I can't imagine that there's anything else I'm really potentially able to do here. We could try spelling spot.
Sidewinder.
So what was the bonus? Yeah, 99. So you have to have the max bonus and do that. Alright. Okay, well, then that makes sense. There we go. So I filled out, I think, the entirety of the board at this point.
You struck rich. Nice shot.
Alright. So that's every card game lit, and
Aim.
let's see, Joker Poker, I guess. Well, actually, I should have done the other one.
Joker. Mega mode.
So get one ball
Joker.
locked, and then get the next ball lit.
Nice shot.
I don't know what the blinking cards here are all about, but I don't think they really matter that much.
Mega mode.
Yeah, the blinking cards are all about the jackpots. I forgot it already. Come to think of it, yeah. But starting Mega Mode, like,
Jackpot.
the trick here would be really just
Jackpot.
around the idea of getting a full super jackpot
Jackpot.
while some other multipliers were enabled. And that's pretty much the only difference here now, with all the cards lit and all the card hands lit, which are oddly very different things. Alright.
Joker.
So I just did the thing that I said would really suck, which is get the ball lit, get the cards lit at the top play field.
Get out of town by sundown.
And see, even cheating there, you can see that game is only up to 1 billion. So this is kind of oddly a low scoring table by 1993 standards. Yeah, I think I've mostly seen everything this table has to offer. The thing is,
Nice shot.
I would need to get the core. I would need to get it up here and then manage to light the royal flush without the ball draining, which there's just a lot of places where the ball can drain here.
Royal flush.
So you get that royal flush, and then to acquire the royal flush element. You have to get back up there and do the loop at the top left. This is an incredibly unbalanced table. There's basically nothing on the left.
Super shot.
Right.
Ready, aim, fire. 4 jabs. Royal flush.
Apparently I hadn't lit up all the cards. I thought I did.
Ready.
That's strange. I would have thought I had.
Extra ball.
There's an extra ball. That also lined up the royal flush, which lights up the Joker sinker, which is a shot I legitimately can't make.
Royal flush.
And nobody can say anything.
The special is lit.
Ready, aim, fire.
And yeah, the whole set of cards, they're reset. Come on, Joker.
Joker, Pistol Mania.
We'll see what Pistol Mania looks like. It's just a 2-ball multi-ball with everything blinking insanely bright. It's just like super visually distracting. Oh, there's a third ball in the launcher, too. So actually it was a 3-ball multi-ball. It is very much a standard tactic for some players to actually have have a third ball just wait for them in the plunger, so you can control how long multi-ball goes and just play with 2 balls. That's something that's not afforded you if you have an auto launcher for a multi-ball, certainly. And maybe that was something that a lot of table creators didn't really want to see happen. So all the card hands have reset too.
Sidewinder.
So I think we've seen pretty much every single mode on this table, and they're all very boring. Odd that there's no video mode. Odd that there's nothing kind of special here. No spinners. Really only 1 sync down targets. There's a whole bunch of elements you could have had, certainly. More focus on the characters. When we think about like the party dude, there was a special. When we think about the party dude in the head that follows you while playing the table and sings karaoke, and then you can select 4 different songs, with the Pinball Wizard being one of the songs. Like, boy, is that table way better than this. So you kind of see in a very short amount of time what must have been the heyday for Alvin G and company compared to the pathetic end of Alvin G and the company. Because that's really what this feels like. It's just a pathetic end of a table design. I imagine by 1993 arcades probably were in a bit of a slump, and home entertainment had really started to take over.
Howdy, partner.
Yeah. And I went from a ridiculously, let's see what the actual high score was. Let's see, it was 239 million was what they were expecting rebuilt to beat, and I think legitimately that would be very hard to pull off. Alright, so what I want to say and look at here is a couple of tables. First of all, the action table, which I'm thinking not that. I don't even remember that table. table called Victory. Interesting. Diner. Is that Dr. Dude? Funhouse. Earthshaker, no. Earthshaker is kind of its own unique thing. Not a lot to compare it to. You certainly could compare this to something like Jack's Open, but I think the comparison there is fairly different. Jack's Open takes the idea of cards and gives you a very standard wooden table game here. Plus, one thing that I think Jack's Open does real nice is it limits the actual cards you can get. Instead of 20 cards being in existence, there's actually only enough to do one suit as a full royal flush, and then some other side cards to fulfill a 1 pair, 2, 3 pair, 4 of a kind, full house. Maybe not even 4 of a kind, actually. This is an incredibly simplistic table. One we don't really need to play to show that. So compared to Jack's Open or Wild Card, yeah, that is taking it in a different direction. Wild Card also, same theme, playing poker, more in a oddly more modern environment than, like, it feels like you're playing poker in the 40s or 50s on this table instead of in the Western times. Yet another card that on that table that's just an old electromechanicals, really simplistic. So sure, there are more gimmicks on the more modern table, but did they do a better job with it in the overall wanting to play? I could see myself wanting to play and going back to, here it is, lights, camera, action. I could see myself wanting to go back and play the electromechanical cards, tables more, just for a simple thing. And see, this gimmick, and this is a Gottlieb table too, so they already had this gimmick. Has the draw action. It has the cards element. This table does everything way better, much earlier. Like, it has a backboard card collector. Quick multi-ball there. And see, I wouldn't even really say this is a good table per se. The angles are weird, and there's arguably too much in the upper play field. And still, I think I'd much prefer to play this than what I was just playing. And arguably, this is a fairly repetitive table with the quick draw, and they do it too often. I've already gotten like 2 million points, which I think is really, really high compared to what you normally would score with the other table. So yeah, there's just some real weirdness there that this Gottlieb table from what had to been 89 does a lot of the ideas from 93 way better. But then you also have
Welcome to the party zone.
this
Can I take
table,
your order?
which this is labeled as, I think, a Bailey table, but it has Alvin G on the field. Yeah, is this guy not named Alvin G? Interesting. Yeah, it feels like there had to have been some other breakup. And arguably this is another table that has a lot of artwork. But this is so much better of a design. Having a rotating head as a gimmick, having lots of different shots. Yeah. It really must have been just a breakup. And arguably, I guess the case is for like comic book creators, you often just have kind of contractors, and it's no way to really keep people employed for sure, but it does let people potentially be hired just for the one project. And so I could see an argument business-wise to want to just have contractors create the designs and themes and the art of your table, instead of having potentially people on the payroll. But also, I would say there's too many rock stars in pinball table design and not enough opportunity for other people to create tables. They probably weren't doing any kind of internships or plans to have other employees eventually get promoted to the point of main table developer, producer, thing like lead director of artistic creation, titles like that. So if there were people working at Bailey or Gottlieb and they had ideas, I don't know how free they would have been to share those ideas for new tables, or whether they would have been rewarded or properly promoted if they did have ideas. Like, I could see a scenario where I potentially would have worked in a pinball manufacturing facility and said, hey, I've got some ideas, let me pitch these ideas, and I would have just either been shot down or ignored. And even now, I imagine that's very much the case, is that the people that are assembling the pinball tables and doing all the manual labor, of which there's a lot, probably are not listened to as far as new concepts. Like, even just playing this game, I've thought of several different themes for tables that aren't complete thoughts by any means, but I could see myself easily taking every table I've seen here before, taking a little bit from here and there and just jigsaw puzzling something together. And at the very least, I could give feedback on tables being developed. We've seen a lot of tables with really bad angles that play pretty terribly. And maybe that means there is just a different style of pinball table out there that is incompatible with my style of pinball. But I doubt it. I think some tables just are worse than others.
Do I have to shoot you?
The idea of pistol poker, not terrible, just kind of the implementation. I think if this had been finished, which obviously it hasn't, it might have been a good table. But that didn't happen. Here we can see, as far as the all-time scores, you're getting up. You have some people that got to 1 billion, an incredibly low scoring table. And what I'd like to see is where my score even ranks here. I'm in the top 10,000 of all time of people who have played this table, which really just goes to highlight that nobody's played this table. In this week, on Thursday, I'm in the 47th. I'm a little surprised I am that low. Frankly, I would have thought 89 people have played this on the Thursday, and then monthly on the 8th day of the month. I'm 71 with my high score. And I bet less than 140 people have played the table. Nope, I was off by 4. 143 people have played this table. Yeah. In a funny way, while this table lets you make favorites, there is pretty much a blacklist option that could be used to unfavorite or anti-favorite tables. And I'd probably put some of these tables on that list. Maybe not pistol poker, but probably. Because it's not one that I'd actively want to come back to. And unfortunately, it is just going to be so incredibly close to Star Trek The Next Generation and Twilight Zone that I wouldn't be surprised if I forget about it completely and never play it again. We definitely have seen that with other tables where I've played them and then slept and then completely forgotten about them. Yeah, I think that's all that needs to really be said about pistol poker. Next time Star Trek The Next Generation and we start a new row, high chance that we'll have a good row of tables. We really didn't have a great one. Judge Dredd's alright, and Getaway is great, and the rest are easily forgotten. Whereas if we just look above there, Hurricane is kind of worth playing. Party Zone is definitely worth playing. Terminator 2 and Addams Family are alright. Alvin G's alright. Black Rose is pretty good. Black Lagoon's alright. And Cubile Wizard is pretty good. So, like, quite a lot of good games in 92, which I assume most of these are 92 tables. And 93, not so much. Now, of course, the danger next time is we'll play Star Trek The Next Generation, and either I'll fall in love with it and play it for a lot of time, or I'll fall in love with it and want to come back and play it as I move on to other tables, or I fall out of love with this table that I'm very nostalgic for and realize it's not as good as I remember. In all honesty, I do kind of remember that it was like mini pool tables, sometimes a bit difficult to pull off some shots. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wish list. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.